you live back in the days. Don't be left behind. Join the new normal of digital world. Let radio and television be at your fingertips. Get news and current events, entertainment, sports, kiddies programs, and more at your beck and call on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Just visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media platforms. Then you are a global citizen. Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Voice of the voiceless.
It is essential to be up to date on happenings around you, and to make that easy for you, ladies and gentlemen, we present Fresh. Blessed morning to you, wherever you're watching us live at Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Beautiful Tuesday morning, of course, the 8th day in the month of August 2023. And welcome to Freshlight on the Super Dial, Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Freshlight, this is where we'll take you through prominent headlines and stories in our dailies. And of course, look through the front pages of our newspapers and go through a couple of stories this beautiful morning. My name is Modupe Akinyosoye, and without further ado, I have the Nation newspaper, I have the Vanguard newspaper, I have the Punch newspaper, and of course I have the Sun newspaper. We'll quickly go through a couple of the newspapers and the stories we have in them this morning. We'll start with the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper has a report: ECOWAS plans review of Niger junta position. With a rider that says military closes Niamey airspace. The heads of state and government of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, will meet again tomorrow over the political crisis in Niger Republic. And of course, a statement that was reviewed showed the ECOWAS leaders are led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the junta closure of airspace since Sunday disrupted the skies over landlocked Niger, which is more than twice the size of France, and also it borders Libya, which is considered too unsafe for the passing of commercial aircraft. And flights between London and Nairobi and London and South Africa were first to divert. From the Nation newspaper, ECOWAS plans a review of Niger junta position. You get the rest of that in the Nation newspaper. And also, away from that, we have a break-in from the Nation that says Senate clears 45 ministerial nominees. The Senate has confirmed the nomination of 45 persons as ministers by President Bola Tinubu, and Senate President Godswill Akpabio stated this on Monday evening. And the confirmed ministers are Abubakar Kyari of Borno, Abubakar Momo of Edo, Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, Engineer Joseph Utserv of Benue, Senator John Owan Eno of Cross River, Honorable Bello Mohammed of Sokoto, Mohammed Badar Abubakar of Jigawa, Ambassador Yusuf Maitama Tugar of Bauchi, Uju Kennedy Owaneye of Anambra, Honorable Olubumi Tunji Ojo of Ondo, Inkeruka Oyejocha of Abia State, Dr. Beta Edo of Cross River State, Iman Suleiman Ibrahim of Nasarawa, David Umahi of Ebonyi, Adebayo Lawale Edo of Ogun State, Ahmed Musa Dangiwa of Katsina, Chief Uche Geoffrey Nanji of Enugu, Mr. Dele Laki of Ekiti, Wahid Adebayo Adelabu of Oyo, Mohammed Idris of Niger, Professor Ali Pate of Bochi, Dr. Doris Uzoka of Imo, Latif Fagbemi San of Kwara, Right Honorable Ekwerikwe Epo of Akwa Ibom, Hanatu Musawa of Katsina, Ibrahim Gaidam of Yobe, Ali Usabi Abdullahi of Niger, Heneken Lokobiri of Bayelsa, Alkali Hamed Saidu of Gombe, Dr. Tanko Sununu of Kebbi, Atiku Bagudu of Kebbi State, Bello Matawali of Zamfara, Adegboyega Oyetola of Oshun, Simon Bako Lalong of Plateau of the Light, Tijani Mohammed, Guazo of Kano, Bosun Tijani of Ogun, Dr. Maria Mahmoud Bunkore of Kano, Dr. Isiak Salako of Ogun, Dr. Tunji Alausa of Lagos, Lola Adejon of Lagos, Professor Tahir Maman San Adamawa, Zafanaya Jisalo of FCT, Uba Megari Amadu of Taraba, Prince Shuaibu Abubakar Audu of Kogi, and Festus Kiyamo San of Delta. You get the rest of that in the Nation newspaper. Senate clears 45 ministerial nominees. Away from that, so let's move to the story we have from the Vanguard newspaper. Coming to the Vanguard newspaper, we'll get reports on ministers. Senate stops El-Rufai, Okotete, and Danladi. With a rider, awaits security report. Checks confirms Wike, Keyamo, Alake, Tunjujo, Pate, Fagbemi, Edu, and 38 others. After 7 days of screening, the Senate has confirmed 45 of the 48 ministerial nominees presented by President Bola Tinubu, and those who were denied confirmation yesterday over security report or pending security checks are immediate past Governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, former Deputy Governor of Taraba State, Senator Abubakar Danladi, and Stella Oketete from Delta State. The trio had petitions against their nominations. And specifically, Senate President Godswill Akpabio said the Senate did not clear them because of security reports that must be cleared. And of course, you get details of those that were cleared, the 45 nominees in the Vanguard newspaper as well, with the headline, Ministers, Senate stops El-Rufai, Oketete, and Danladi. Away from that, from the Vanguard as well, we have the billion-naira debt, WAEC withholds result of candidates from 8 states, with a rider at 79.81% obtained credit in English and math. Result of students from 8 states of the Federation that sat for the 2023 West African Senior School Certificate Examination have been withheld by the West African Examination Council's WAEC over the indebtedness of the state to the council. And this was disclosed at a press briefing on Monday in Lagos by the head of National Office, Mr. Patrick Aragon, while giving details of the result of the examination concluded 44 days ago, and while expressing confidence that some of the affected states would soon pay up. The HNO listed Zamfara and Niger as the highest debtors. He, however, declined to mention the remaining state, and while Aragon also did not give the amount the state or individually and collectively, it was gathered that it runs into hundreds of millions of naira. From the Vanguard, billion-naira debt, WAEC withholds result of candidates from 8 states. Away from that very story, we also have from the Vanguard newspaper this very report that says federal government withdraws contempt proceedings against organized labor. The federal government says it has withdrawn the contempt of court proceedings against organized labor for embarking on a nationwide protest, and this is contained in a letter addressed to the lead counsel to the NLC, Falana and Falana's chambers, and obtained by the News Agency of Nigeria on Tuesday in Abuja. The letter dated August 7 to Falana's chambers was signed by the Solicitor General of the Federation, Mrs. B.E. Jedi Agba, and NAN reports that the Federal Ministry of Justice, through the National Industrial Court, NICN, issued the leadership of organized labor summons on contempt of court for embarking on the protest. And NAN also calls that organized labor had threatened to embark on a nationwide strike from August 14 if the federal government failed to withdraw its contempt of court charges. From the Vanguard, federal government withdraws contempt proceedings against organized labor. Away from that very story, as well from the Vanguard newspaper, we have the story on life expectancy. NMA advises Nigerians on eating right for healthy living. The Nigerian Medical Association, NMAFCT Elders Forum, has advised Nigerians, especially the youth, on the need to eat right for healthy living, saying such also controls life expectancy. The acting chairman of the association's Elders Forum, Dr. Udofia Enofiok, gave the advice at a meeting tagged a day out with the elders. The news agency of Nigeria reports that the meeting was part of the activities lined up for the 2023 annual general meeting and scientific conference of the association. And Enofiok advised Nigerians, particularly the youth, not to eat anyhow because such food was free. And he added that everyone must relate properly with the kind of food eaten. You get the rest of that advice on healthy living and healthy eating from the Vanguard newspaper, with the headline on life expectancy. Enemy advises Nigerians on eating right for healthy living. Away from that story, let's move to the Punch newspaper and get a couple of stories from the Punch newspaper. A former Character Commission officer admits taking bribes, indicts chairman. There was mild drama on Monday when a former Integrated Payroll and Personal Information System Desk officer at the Federal Character Commission, Adono Kolo, accused of collecting bribes from job seekers in exchange for employment, owned up to the allegation. And this was just as he admitted to having received over 75 million naira from desperate job seekers on instructions of a chairman of the FCC. Not done, Kolo claimed that the FCC boss instructed him to transfer the money to his personal account and pay her in cash, which he did a couple of times in her house. And Kolo made the revelation at the ongoing investigative hearing by the House of Representatives ad hoc committee investigating federal ministries, departments and agencies, parastatals and tertiary institutions on mismanagement of IPPIS. You get the rest of that very story in the Punch newspaper. Former Character Commission officer admits taking bribes and indicts chairman from the Punch. We get to the rest of the story after this quick commercial break. Still Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Stay with us.
Gbogbo aláfẹ́ tó fẹ́ wọṣọ yìí ṣòge tó pàgbà ń kọjá lọ Zion. House of Zion, the name I know when we talk of top materials and class. House of Zion, let's máa rójúlówó Turkey wears, Egypt and Malaysia clothing, Dubai, àwọn designer bags lóríṣiríṣi, àwọn tó jìnnà ṣe, àwọn aago kájọ tó ń ka wákàtí, designer sunglasses and perfumes, pẹ̀lú àwọn gbogbo nǹkan tóbìnrin àsìkò fi ń gbáfẹ́. Mo débẹ̀ ojú mi ń ṣe kàmì èmi ni ó rà. Èmi fashion tẹ wá nílò jàlábíà, hijab àti àbáyà lóríṣiríṣi. Of Zion lẹ́ ò ti rí gbogbo ẹ̀ rà. House of Zion wà ní 52 Ọlọ́run ṣògo road, Redeem Church, Agape Parish, Ọlọ́run ṣògo Abẹ́òkúta. Lórí Instagram 08165 6818. Ana ilé ìtajà tá a ti ń tojúlówó aṣọ àti nǹkan aṣọ gbogbo aláfẹ́.
Thousands severally be back in the traveling agency business. It is a rush and tour. We have in-depth details on how to successfully, without stress, help you process and secure your visa to anywhere in the world. Do you have visa, visiting and tourism visa, student visa to Europe, America, a big deal to us at Taustaf Travel. Years of experience and expertise speaks volume for us. Let's process and secure visa and Canada within a twinkle of an eye. We offer Hajj and Umrah services to our faithfuls. What are you waiting for? Us at number 9 Taustaf Central Mall, Sholanke Street, behind the hotel. 0739 0578 406 travels and more.
thank you so much for staying with us. Still Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. And still going through different stories from newspapers. We'll still have the Punch newspaper with me. From the Gateway State, we have a report. Ogun Agro Airport 90% completed, says Works Commissioner. The Ogun State government has said that the Agro International Airport, located at Ikweru Road in Ikene local government area of the state, was 90% completed. In a statement on Tuesday by the National Public Relations Officer of the Nigeria Customs Service, Abdullahi Miwada, the State Commissioner of Works, Akinyosoye, said, made this known when the Acting Controller General of Customs, Adewale Adeniyi, inspected some projects in the state. Among the projects inspected by the Customs CG included the proposed 100 hectares Customs Training College, a Federal Operations Unit Zone A headquarters, a government warehouse, and the Agro International Airport. And speaking during the visit, Akinyosoye highlighted the accessibility of the area and the expected period for completion of Agro International Cargo Airport. From the Punch, Ogun Agro Airport 90% completed, says Work Commissioner. And away from that, still with the Punch newspaper, quick trip to Niger. Niger coup plotters name economist as new prime minister. Nearly 2 weeks after the military took over power in Niger, the coup plotters have named former economic minister Ali Mohamed Lamine Zain as the country's new prime minister. A spokesman for the military junta made the announcement on television late on Monday night. And Lamine Zain was formerly the Minister of Economy and Finance for several years in the cabinet of then President Mamadou Tanja, who was ousted in 2010 and most recently worked as an economist for the African Development Bank in Chad, according to a Nigeria media report. At the end of July, the military ousted the democratically elected president, Mohamed Bazoum, and suspended the constitution in the country of 26 million inhabitants. And under Bazoum, Niger had been one of the last strategic partners of the West in the fight against the advance of Islamic terrorists in the Sahel. From the Punch, you get more details to that very story. Niger coup plotters name economist as new prime minister. And also from the Punch, Nigeria tops global unemployment rating. Nigeria tops the list of countries with the highest rate of unemployment according to the latest statistics released by the World of Statistics. Nigeria led with 33.3%, followed by another African country, South Africa 32.9%, and Iran 15.55%. The lowest rate of unemployment, according to the reports, were in countries like Qatar 0.1%, Cambodia 0.36%, and Niger 0.5%. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the unemployment rate in Nigeria increased to 33.30% in the fourth quarter of 2020 from 27.10% in the second quarter of 2020. And meanwhile, in a more recent report, a multinational consulting firm, KPMG, stated that the Nigerian unemployment rate had increased to 37.7% in 2022 and would further rise to 40.6% due to the continuing inflow of job seekers into the job market. Nigeria tops global unemployment rate. The Punch newspaper captured that. And a sports story from the Punch review. Okay, let's quickly go to the Sun newspaper to check through what we have in the Sun newspaper before we round it up. Back to the Gateway State. Adebutu Bank present evidence of 200,000 preloaded ATM cards to tribunal. The bank official had been suspended over allegations of vote buying through preloaded ATM cards leveled against Oladipupo Adebutu. And of course, the counsel to Governor Dapo Abiodun, Professor Taiwo Oshipiton, had earlier informed the panel that 2 letters were submitted to Zenith Bank in February seeking the clarification on how Adebutu opened a special account for the purpose of his action with the bank, as well as the request it made for issuance of 200,000 preloaded ATM. You get that from the Sun newspaper with the headline, Adebutu Bank presents evidence of 200,000 preloaded ATM cards to tribunal. Away from that, also from the Sun newspaper, the Metro page of the Sun newspaper, you get to see this very story. Mob beats policeman over man hit by BRT. An unidentified policeman was said to have been beaten to stupor by a mob yesterday after a man simply identified as Yusuf was hit by a BRT bus from the impact of being allegedly pushed by policemen in the Ketu area of Lagos State. To get more details to that in the Sun newspaper, mob beats policeman over man hit by BRT. And running it up with a sports story from the sports page of the Sun newspaper, regardless of kicking out the Super Falcons from the Women World Cup. FIFA Women's World Cup, Tinubu Atiku hails Super Falcon despite loss to England. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar have hailed the Super Falcons for making Nigeria proud despite their exit from the 2023 Women's World Cup in Australia. And of course, the Super Falcons crashed out of the tournament after losing to the Lioness of England at the Brisbane Stadium in Australia. The rest of that in the Sun newspaper from the sport page. You get that with the headline, FIFA Women's World Cup, Tinubu Atiku hails Super Falcon despite loss to England. And from there, we draw the curtain on Freshlight this morning on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Do not forget to follow us on our social media platform, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. Thank you so much. Modupe, Akinyosoye. Good morning.